what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Pig. We're going to be talking about relics today. Yeah, I know. This is, I'm a little bit out of content in Star Rail right now. I want to preface this by saying I am doing currency wars in the background. I'm trying to get to the max tier of currency wars. I'm going to make a video on this, and I'm going to share my opinions on currency wars and how I feel about the game mode, which I have a lot to talk about, so don't worry. Anyways, let's talk about relics. So this is for SPARXIE and YAOGUNG, sort of. I mean, you know, I say I would recommend these builds. I think this is just sort of the generic, everybody kind of sees these as the best builds. I mean, usually there's a right answer. So I want to talk about them a little bit, but I want to preface something. I want to start with something else. So there's something I believe in Honkai Star Rail, which is true, that, how do I put this, maybe isn't true with other gacha games, and maybe from what I've seen in the community isn't what people believe in the community to be true. So I wanted to talk about something I want to call recommended cost of characters. That includes all of these characters, obviously. Like every character in the game, I think, should have a recommended cost. Recommended cost, I don't think is E0S1. I don't think it's E0S0. I think it's kind of dependent on the character. It looks like they have a bit of a formula. So I'm going to talk about, like, Castress, for instance, I think is a recommended cost of 4. You really need her light cone, and you really need E2. I think for her to really be a really good unit and to be able to compete in the endgame content at a level of being able to zero cycle knights in anomaly arbitration, zero cycle the king in check for anomaly arbitration. Those are kind of where I'm looking at. I mean, that's obviously the level of content that I think matters the most. Zero cycling knights, zero cycling king in check, and of course being able to clear plight, I think, is the most important thing for a character nowadays. But knight anomaly arbitration is kind of just like the baseline. I think MOC, PF, APOC all kind of just pale in comparison to how anomaly arbitration works. I think when, how do I put this? APOC is still difficult. I think APOC is still fun. APOC, I think if you're trying to get a score, usually I try to aim around 7,800. I want to get higher than 7,800 for every APOC moving forward. So I do take that into considerations because, I mean, MOC, pretty much every new character is going to be able to zero cycle MOC. So, you know, if you're not getting a zero cycle on MOC, we have a different problem. But that's kind of where I'm at. That's my metric. I want to be able to zero cycle knights in APOC, or sorry, now I'm getting all confused. I want to zero cycle knights in anomaly arbitration, and I want to zero cycle king in check, so you can get the cool profile banner with the glitter, right? You want to get the cool profile banner around your icon, and obviously being able to clear plight, I think, is very, very important. And if you want to compete at that level, recommended cost of 4, recommended cost of 4 for Finon as well. Cyrene, recommended cost of 4. You know, E2 is pretty good for her. And you may say, oh, why not just get E6? Well, I think that's just, you know, the jump from E0 to E2 is a lot more, how do I put this? A lot more possible, I think, than, you know, E2 to E6, because that's 4 more copies of the character. But, you know, whatever. And not every character is an E2 merchant, right? I think Aglaya is a really good E1 character, so she's a 3 cost. I think Maida you can get pretty well with just getting him. You know, so he's kind of a 1 cost character. Saridra, I do believe, is a 3 cost character as well. I think you do need her E1 and her light cone to be really, really successful. And obviously I don't have her light cone because I explained this in a previous video that I don't, it was just a bad time for me to get that. It was a bad time for her to release. Sorry, let me just do this real quick. It was a bad time for her to release, so I couldn't get her cone in time. Hyacinth, she's a pretty good 0 cost as well. You know, you just summon for Hyacinth and throw on the speed remembrance cone from the herder shop, and you'd be fine there. Evernight is another good. I do think she could be argued at a 3 cost. I mean, you're definitely gonna need a limited light cone. I don't know if you need technically Evernight. I mean, you could use Castress if you already have it, but you definitely want a signature remembrance light cone, either hers or Castress. And you probably want E1 if you're running her as a DPS character. It's a pretty significant damage upgrade, so I think running her at E1 is acceptable. She's still really good. I mean, even at E2, she's doing damage numbers that are absolutely ridiculous compared to even like Aglaya E2. So, you know, she is definitely usable at E1 for more difficult content. That's what I mean by recommended cost. Let's talk about the recommended cost and the builds for SPARXIE and YAOGUNG. So let's go ahead and pull these girls up. Let me get you and you. Let's take a look at their Eidolons here, right? So E1 for SPARXIE, when high instance, gains 5 punchline for every 1 punchline owned, increases res type allies or all type res pen for allies 1.5% up to a max of 15. This is unbelievable. It's really, really good. This is really, really, really good. SPARXIE needs these punchlines. She generates punchlines. She's going to be doing a lot of damage in the AHA instance, and this is going to make it even better, right? Let's go to E2. When an AHA instant ends, SPARXIE gains 1 extra turn and 2 thrill. For every 1 thrill consumed, increases this unit's crit damage by 10% less for 2 turns, up to 4 times. What does this mean? This means you can probably stop at E1. I think SPARXIE is a pretty good 3-cost character. E2 is good. I mean, obviously, like, her E2 is good. Her E4 is I think better than it looks on paper, and her E6 is an E6, so it's, you know, this part's ridiculous. So I think E1 is a good stopping point for her, only because we know where she's going. Spoiler alert, 4.2, SP Silverwolf is coming out. She's now the main push of the anniversary. She's going to be part 1. SP Silverwolf is going to use SPARXIE as a sub DPS character, and Silverwolf will be able to ultimate depending on punchlines generated. So this is absolutely insane. I think this is really going to help her out. And because SPARXIE is a sub DPS, I think going super deep on her, if you're trying to be smart about your polls, if you want to run an Elation team, you're going to need that Silverwolf main push. I don't think that's even going to be an argument. Obviously, I have no idea what she does kit-wise yet, but we do know that Silverwolf, I mean, I would assume she's going to be the best character in the game. It would be an absolute travesty if she wasn't. So if you want to run this Elation team and you want to use your polls smart, I would say definitely just E6 Silverwolf instead. E1 SPARXIE, S1 SPARXIE, call it a day. I think you'd be more than fine getting E1 SPARXIE with her cone. But I say get her cone only because there's not a whole lot of Elation cones at the moment. As you can tell. There's two really, really bad 4-stars. Nobody's running a 3-star cone. And then these are like, obviously these are the only ones. So you just run her cone because it's the best option for her right now. In the future, you could probably use a different one, sort of like Evernight, but I think she's a very Evernighty character, this SPARXIE. And her splash art's up here. Actually, I think it's down here. No, it's not down here yet. SPARXIE is definitely more of an Evernight character, so you're going to be running her as a sub DPS to a DPS that's really, really good. So getting her E1 just like you would Evernight, S1 just like you would Evernight, I think you'd be good there. Obviously, if you like the character, you know, go for as much as you want. She can be a really good main DPS actually, even right now at E6. If you have YAOGUNG, YAOGUNG I think is a pretty easy, maybe a 2-cost. If her cone's pretty good for her. Actually, I think it's a significant upgrade for her own personal damage. So, if you get her E0 S1, that's fine. She does have some like okay like these aren't like crazy Eidolons, so you could probably just like forget about it, you know. So whatever. E0 S1's fine for her. So I think you probably recommended cost of YAOGUNG is a grand total of 2. And SPARXIE, I would say 3. I think E1 would be a good stopping point for SPARXIE for what's going to happen in the future. For instance, if you want my recommendation on Ashvale, he's a recommended 7 cost. If that guy's not E6, he's not clearing content. Just put it simply. Yeah, so that's them, the recommended cost. I think SPARXIE's a good 3. I think she's going to be very equivalent to Evernight. I think if you look in the future, obviously down the road when the Elation team is set in stone, SPARXIE is going to be looked on kit-wise as well as Evernight is for the casters team. YAOGUNG, I'm not too sure about. According to the leak, she's not going to be on that Silverwolf team by the end of it. She is going to be for Evanesia or Sakura, whatever. But I have a feeling YAOGUNG's still going to be the best option for Silver Wolf, at least until we get another Elation support character later on in the versions. Given that she's the only Elation support character, we don't know what Elation main character does yet. So my assumption is the team's going to be Silver Wolf, SPARXIE, YAOGUNG, Elation MC. That's going to be the 4 characters on the team initially, and then maybe Elation MC and YAOGUNG get replaced by units that come out later in the version. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt for YAOGUNG. I don't really know her staying power, but I do think SPARXIE is going to be an Evernight level character. Is going to be extremely powerful. Is going to be on the team forever. I don't think she's going to leave it. Her punchline generation is just going to be too absurd once everything comes out, I think. But looking at what you want to build, like I said, you know, 3600 attack, I think is that's her break point. You want to get her to 3600 attack. In terms of importance, I think attack percent substats are the most important one. Obviously, until you hit 3600. After that, crit rate, crit damage, you want to make sure you had, like, you know, 100-ish crit rate. 99 or 100, one of the two. Don't overcap. Crit damage, go as high as you can get without losing 3600 attack or 100 crit rate, right? So pretty simple stuff. Speed's not that important on this character either. I don't think she shouldn't really benefit from speed that much. And if you have YAOGUNG on the team, which I think you should right away, speed, you're getting some nice speed buff, so it's okay. Energy regen rope, I think that's a good one. That's kind of set in stone. You need her ultimates. You need that punchline generation. You need to keep doing that stuff. So energy regen rope is fine. The orb I'm always a little bit tricky on with these characters. So I'm more, if you look at my casters, you know, a lot of people run HP orb because she's an HP scaling DPS character. Quantum damage is technically better if you get a certain level of HP, which is this level of HP. If you get this level of HP on your substats, then you run a quantum damage orb. If not, HP orb is better. So SPARXIE's a little weird. If you're at 3600 attack without an attack orb, go fire damage, and then get an attack percent substat roll. If you can do a fire damage orb, I think that is what you should do. Obviously, the set is the new set, this Magical Girl set, and then the Tengoku livestream set for the Planar Orb. I actually think there's a new. Let me go to this website. Oh boy. Oh, that's not good. But never mind. I think there's a new planner set coming out, and that planner set is a little bit better. It's just, like, actually like almost an insignificant increase in damage, but so just go for Tengoku for now. And if you have 3600 attack without an orb, go for the fire damage orb or some attack substat. Like, if you can get a fire damage orb and 3600 attack and 100% crit rate, go for the fire damage orb. Other than that, energy regen's fine. YAOGUNG is running the other new set, the Diviner of Distant Reach here, and obviously running Lusaka because SPARXIE's an attack scaling Elation character. That might change depending. I don't know how Silver Wolf is going to scale. We'll see what stat she scales off of. So this might change in the future. It might go from Lusaka to something else. This is what you want to run. Her speed is very important. If we look at the Diviner of Distant Reach, which we can't, you need it's going to give you an 18% crit rate increase at 160 speed or more. So you want to get to at least 160 speed running this set, which probably isn't the hardest thing in the world. I mean, this has no levels on it. So this is technically what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 speed rolls, and I'm at 169 speed. So I don't think it's that big of a concern getting her to 160 speed. Crit rate you want as close to 100 as you can get. And obviously crit damage you want as high as you can get without sacrificing the other two stats. One thing I will say about YAOGUNG, her personal damage is actually not negligible, which is why we're going for physical damage orb and energy regen rope. Obviously energy regen, when she ults, she pushes the AHA instant up next, that's a lot of value there, so you want her ult as much as possible. But the physical damage, like, her damage actually isn't, like, her damage is actually good. Like it's actually not, like, sort of like, I'm thinking about it in the sense of, like, a tribute follow-up attack might not do a whole ton of damage. But it's still useful. YAOGUNG actually does have, like, some useful damage from her. It's doing something near, like, 1 million. I don't know what cost that character was, to be fair, but I think it was E0S1. It was, like, somewhere near 1 million damage that you're adding to the AHA instant, which is always good. So I think that's probably what you want to look for on her. You know, 1 million. So speed, crit damage is important. The higher you can get this without sacrificing these other two stats would be perfect. And that's yeah, that's kind of all I got for now. So I'll keep clearing currency wars. My favorite game mode ever. Awesome. I kind of just started. It's been a little bit rough. There's a lot of resetting that's involved, but I'll get more into this once this video comes out. I'll be grinding this all day today, though, so hopefully I can have it out soon. Thanks for watching.